What is a fun way to teach mathematics to kids in the classroom that enables them to understand the context for which they're learning the things, well, to understand the context of the things they're learning? Who is this? Johannes Gutenberg. Who is Johannes Gutenberg? Well, the printing press, right? The kids should be able to tell us something about Johannes Gutenberg. What does he have to do with math at all? Well, before we talk about math, you have to talk about astronomy and physics. Who is this? Nicholas Copernicus. So now when you're engaging with your classroom, you're able to show them different people, tell them the timeline the person lived, tell them the context with which the person was doing their work, right? Because Copernicus' work gave rise to Galileo's work, and Galileo's work gave rise, well, Galileo and Kepler did work around the same time. Galileo lived from 1564 to 1642. That's key, the 1642 there. Kepler lived from 1571 to 1630. We're getting somewhere with this story. We have René Descartes in France and Pierre de Fermat and Blaise Pascal doing some amazing work. This is Blaise Pascal, very humble physicist. Do you remember when I said 1642? Well, that was the year Galileo died. Who was born in 1642? Isaac Newton on Christmas Day, right? So he's one of the only people you'll see in history where we put two dates, 1642 and 1643, depending on what calendar system, right? Clearly, he did something interesting, which is why we give the two different reference points of the Gregorian calendar and so on. Leibniz and Newton are known as like the co-inventors, or people who say like the co-founders of the calculus. Now, calculus has other people involved in its discovery, but these are two key people. So showing the kids these two people and say, what do they have in common? What did they do, right? So we have Leibniz, very influential gentleman. He was a theologian, lawyer, mathematician. And then we have, actually before Michael Faraday, we have Leonhard Euler and Carl Friedrich Gauss. I'll get you those cards later, but they were very good at their craft. They're considered the best mathematicians ever, Euler and Gauss. Michael Faraday is one of my favorite people in the world. I mean, well, that lived in the world of physics. Just a humble man, and he worked hard. One of the best experimental physicists of all time. One of the reasons you're able to watch this video is because of people like Faraday and James Clerk Maxwell. So Faraday's work influenced one of the aspects of Maxwell's work was tied to Faraday, right? A key aspect, but Maxwell did many things, and we'll talk about him in our series. In 1879, Maxwell died. He died at the age of 48. His mother was also 48 when she died of stomach cancer. So Maxwell died of the same condition. Maxwell and Faraday were devout Christian men who wanted to study the world God made. And so were a lot of these other people on my list, by the way. Newton, Leibniz, people that believed that God made the world, and so they were studying the world that God made. But what's fascinating is that in 1879, Maxwell died. Who was born in 1879? Albert Einstein. So remember when I said Galileo died in 1642, Newton was born in 1642, Maxwell died in 1879, and then Albert Einstein was born in 1879. When you ask Newton, right, you've heard the quote, I've stood on the shoulders of giants. If I've seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. If you ask Newton who are the giants, he would say Galileo and Kepler and Copernicus. If you ask Einstein whose shoulders did he stand on, he will actually say, I stand on the shoulders of Maxwell. It's fascinating when you study the historical context. What else is going on in the 1850s to 1900s? The Franco-Prussian War, The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. Karl Marx there's the work of Karl Marx, and we could go on and on of some of these events, but some of these events shaped the 1900s. Friedrich Nietzsche's work and all of that before. So that shaped the 1900s, which gave us an era where we now start seeing science and faith being split apart. The problem with all of this is, let me ask, have you noticed that we've not had some of these types of people in a long time? Well, that's going to change, God willing. That's part of my vision and goal with Life LLC and the Visa program. The Learning Institute for Excellence is an organization and global education solutions organization seeking to create curriculum and programs to support schools, homeschool families, parents in their, in their support of their children getting a quality education. We want to make sure that every child can get a quality education no matter where they live. Okay. So therefore, what we need to realize then is we need curriculum that meets the need of the time. So that's where VISA comes in, Velocity Innovation STEAM Academy. Velocity Innovation STEAM Academy provides certification to schools and homeschool programs where we give them tools to learn math at the highest level possible. We want students doing calculus 5, so it's called informally, which is differential equations. We want them learning differential equations before they graduate high school. Like, that should be the bare minimum. I'm talking about some of the worst students in math. We can get them to Calc 5 by 12th grade. Now, you give us some of the best students in math, that would be really cool. They can go further. They can come up with more theorems in mathematics. But we want every student to flourish, not just students that already love math. We want to show people that everyone ought to love math. Just like people love music, people love art. Why don't they love math? Because of how it's taught. That's part of what VISA is going to solve. So stay tuned for more information. This is Amos Tarfa. Subscribe for more. These flashcards will be available in the fall where your children can get to learn about all these different people that played a huge role in mathematics. Thanks for watching. Take care and have a blessed day.